here's another video. This one, it's about solving an equation again. So this time when I see this, I'll talk about this later. Like I said, I might make a video for that for other people if you really want to see how that's done. But for my class, we're gonna meet after they watch this video, so I can talk about that. All right. So this is a weird one. I know it's one of those things that has square and the one exponent on top. So sine is squared and psi is not squared. I would factor it, but the only problem is when you factor this, it does not get to equal 0. Okay? So it presents another problem. Let me show you what I meant. So if I factor out the sine, so just say I factor out the sine, I don't want to write the x, so the 2 and 1 sine is left over. Plus 1 equals 1. So at that point, it's more or less a dead end. You can't really do anything because what you want is you want to know the exact time when they multiply is equal to 0. So when that happens, you can set one part equals 0, but this side is not 0, so that's the wrong way to go. Okay, backtrack. All right, so what's the best way to do it? The best way to do it is think about this as a quadratic equation, okay? Even though it says sine. So I'm gonna pretend the sign is just a letter S. So I'm gonna write like this. So it'll be easier for me to think. See how nice that looked without the whole thing being sine X? Like so. Now if I ask you to solve for 1S, factoring is not gonna work. I have a quadratic equation, so I have to make one side equal 0, and hopefully I can factor it. So I'm going to subtract 1 from this side, so this is what it looks like next. And the S is sine, okay? All right. So now can we factor 2s squared plus s minus 1? Hope we can. So let's see, 2s and a s is 2s squared. 1 in the back, only one pair of factors. So 1 times 1 is 1. You want a negative, then one part has to be negative. I'm going to say this one should be positive and this one is negative. Okay? For those of you guys that don't know how to factor, you need to review that part. Okay, so now when you get that set, this side is 0. Each one of these factors, each one of these little parentheses will be made or set up equal to 0. So that's our next move. So 2 sine of x. Now I traded out the word s with the sine x, or the letter s. So solve that part, okay? And then I have another one to solve. So each one of my parentheses, 2 sine minus 1, had to be solved by itself. Sine plus 1 had to be solved by itself. All right, so to solve this is easy. Add 1, divide by 2. So it looks like that. Let's finish this side. So if you want to finish off the problem, you have to use the unit circle. So let me go back to unit circle. So this one means the y, the sine is the y. Y at what angle? So you're looking for the angle. Hold on, I think I missed the word. At what angle is the y equals 1/2? Right, so at what angle is the y value is 1/2? How do I know it's a y? Because it's a sine, okay? So you just have to put that in the context. So now let me look at the unit circle again. This is a not complete one. The sine is the height. The height is 1/2, or the y is going up that way. So this is the highest 1/2. Also is this. So these are your two angles. Okay, so now to answer that question, at what angles? Now I need to put the S there. So you have two angles. When your sine or the y value is 1/2. So the angles were pi/6 and 5 pi/6. All right, so that's this half of the problem. So you got two angles from that half. Now, are they always going to have two angles? It depends. All right. This one, same thing. You're going to subtract 1 from 0. So you got sine of x equals -1. Now, same question. At what angle? Is your y equals -1. All right. So unit circle again. The y equals -1. See, this is what I said. Sometimes you get two answers, sometimes you get one. Look at that. The y equals -1, it only happens down there. So that answer is only 3 pi/2. Hope that's clear. So your x is 3 pi/2. So you got one answer, two answers, and three answers for your x. All right, signing out. It's 6 minutes now. Adios.